What up? It's your boy Skillz, and tonight we're going to talk about a legend, a San Francisco Bay Area legend. And I know we kind of throw that term around loosely in society, but here it really does apply because Dennis Richmond, nobody did it before or since like Dennis Richmond. He was the KTVU news co-anchor, 10 o'clock news co-anchor from 1976, 4 years before I was born, all the way till 2008 when he retired. And before that, he was a reporter for 8 years. So that's 40 years total he was there at KTVU. You don't think about that station without thinking about Dennis Richmond. You don't think about news in the Bay Area without thinking of him. He was an icon here in the Bay Area. February 5th, though, he passed away. 81 years old. He'd had a heart attack a couple months ago in a fall, and just it doesn't seem like he ever completely recovered from that. But he leaves behind a legacy that, I mean, when you want to talk about someone, you want to talk about someone who's cool, calm, and collected, someone who was unflappable behind that newsroom desk, someone who had a presence and was always in control. You talk about Dennis Richmond through and through. He's one of those people that when he spoke, you listened, and what you heard when you listened was fact. I mean, there was no bias, there was just no spin, it was just truth. And you just depend on that. And there's just not that many guys who were like him even back then, even today. Just one of a kind he was. Now, I'll tell you that most 9-year-olds, when they're watching TV, they're watching cartoons, they're watching, silly things like that. And I, as a 9-year-old, I did watch my share of tunes, but I also was a regular viewer of the 10 o'clock news on KTVU. Back then, news wasn't quite as horrific as it's since become, but so it wasn't. If it traumatized me, let's just say if it traumatized me, I don't know about it. So I watched the news, and I grew attached to KTVU, and it was Dennis Richmond, and it was Elaine Corral, and before Elaine Corral, there was Barbara Simpson, who I never did watch. That was before my time, but I watched Dennis and Elaine, and then later on Dennis and the late Leslie Griffith, and then Dennis and Julie Hayner, until he retired in 2008. I was practically hypnotized by that KTVU news after the quake of '89 here in the Bay Area. And I was also terrified at first because I thought that, given there's a chance of more aftershocks, and, anything could happen, and what if we ended up with Skillz under rubble? Or even worse, Skillz on fire. And it wasn't until I flipped on that news, that KTVU news, and saw Dennis Richmond and Elaine Corral reporting from the KTVU parking lot, I think it was, or it could have been the tower by the where they get the signal from, one or the other. They were reporting from outside because the newsroom had lost power due to the earthquake. And as usual, Dennis Richmond was in total control. Didn't show a shred of nerves, didn't show a shred of uncertainty, just 100% calm, cool, gathered, just professional, doing his job. Didn't even so much as stumble on a word that I can remember. And I thought, well, if he's holding it together this well, what's my excuse? I better hold it together that well too. And he's what pulled me together. He took away a lot of my fear that night. That's just what he did. Just that presence. Because after all, who wouldn't want to emulate Dennis Richmond at a time of crisis? Now, you may remember back in the day there was a comic strip called Rose is Rose. And there was a little boy Pascal, who from his bedroom, this was a recurring theme in the strip, in his bedroom, he couldn't sleep at night unless he heard his parents laughing in the living room, which told him that everything was okay, that there was nothing to worry about. It indicated that everything was good in their world. For me, Dennis Richmond was parents laughing in the living room. That was what told me when he was reporting on the news, whatever was going on, it either was okay or would be okay. All right, he gave me that sense of calm. I could sleep easy knowing that as long as Dennis Richmond was behind that desk, there was continuity. There's something, in my life that I could just rely on and count on, no matter what kind of crazy was going on in my life, or what kind of crazy was going on in the world. Whether it was Oklahoma City, whether it was Columbine, whether it was 9/11. If Dennis Richmond was there and he had it together, and everything was going to be okay. kind of important when you're a young person. I just remember my aunt and I used to joke about how unflappable he was. About how, like, if he was doing a newscast and all of a sudden some vivacious ladies wandered onto the set and they were trying to do whatever, he'd just be like focused. He'd still be professional. He'd just be eyes on the prize the whole time. Wouldn't even faze him. Or if somebody came onto the set angry with a weapon, shouting demands, just acting a fool, Dennis Richmond would probably be like, "Man, if you don't get off my set, I'm here trying to work." And, we're joking, but there's some truth to that. I really think it would probably have taken an explosion in that building to have gotten him off his focus. That's how unflappable he was, and they just don't make him like that. It would have taken God knows what to snap him out of professional mode. And so I think about the outpouring of love and positivity from his colleagues, from meteorologist Bill Martin, who's going to retire soon from KTVU, from the former KTVU sports director Mark Ibanez, who retired a couple years ago, from Julie Hayner, who retired last year, his former co-anchor. And not just his colleagues, I'm talking about like regular people in society. And I've been to a bunch of different message boards, like comment sections, things like that, just to see what people are saying about Dennis Richmond, and it's all love. And this is an era where you can very easily bash someone, or there's definitely a way for you to bash someone, whether or not whether or not it's true, whether or not you mean it. There's a space for you to do that in this day and age, and I didn't see any of that. I'm talking probably hundreds of posts I scoured the day or two after he died, and it was all love. I'm not saying the man was perfect, but man, he was a perfect news anchor. That much you can't argue with. Absolutely iconic. And then you think about all the on and off set problems that his successor as the 10 o'clock news anchor, Frank Somerville, had, and there was plenty. It just makes you appreciate somebody like Richmond that much more, because it was just always about the job with him. So many people grew up watching him just like I did. So, KTVU's slogan, there's only one two. And there was only one two for a long time because there was only one Dennis Richmond on the 10 o'clock news. It's an absolute icon. It's an absolute legend, and there was, and there never will be, anyone quite like him. Rest in peace, legend.